We're rolling.
Fantastic. Here we are on the show. We
All
got
right.
a fantastic guest. We got Chris Norton over at Keller Williams.
Chris, thanks for joining us.
How are you?
Doing great. Little background on Chris. I've known Chris for, probably 5-6 years now. And retired lieutenant colonel in the Army. And it's one of my favorite people to work with in the real estate business. There's a million realtors out there, but there are few who care as much as Chris does. And there's few who know the world of being a veteran and VA lending and operating in that world better than Chris. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try and just not be a jackass. That's my general. Well, maybe the jackassery comes through anyway, but I try and be a good person through the process. How's that?
It's amazing how far that can take you, isn't it?
It is a shocker. It really is.
Well, I'll tell you what, real quick, thank you for your service. It's a blessing always to work with, people that have served. And I'm sure there's so many takeaways that you've learned over the course of, the military career, and bringing that over here into the real estate business. And I guarantee you it's helped you out in a variety of ways.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Discipline, certainly everyone jumps to that. But, again, do the right thing, kind of carries through in a lot of different areas. And, it helps people, with their own real estate needs on an individual level, and it's helped me grow my business too. So do what you say you're going to do. Amazing concept, right?
For sure.
Chris, remind me when you got your start in the real estate world.
So like most real estate agents, this is not my first career. It's actually probably my third or fourth. I became a realtor in the middle of 2016. When the wireless startup I had helped launch, we raised $20 million of venture capital, and we were the whole startup thing, which was awesome. Loved it, had a blast. I would do it again in a heartbeat. But like most startups, it failed, right? So bravo, Paul. Most startups don't make it 3 years. We made it 3 years, right? And the funding dried up, and all of a sudden I had to go find a job. I was fortunate enough. I had some money saved up, and I said, you know what, I'm going to, I've always had an interest in this. Now is the time to do it. So in 2016, I became licensed, hung my license with Keller Williams in Princeton. And here I am. It's been a great run. Actually, I wish I had started this 10 years earlier, to be completely honest with you. It's been a great fit for me.
Yeah, you've taken some awesome leaps and bounds in your short time in the business. Like, I envy the job you do with YouTube and the drone videos and all the stuff. Like, you're not only excellent at the job too, you've taken it to another level and kind of motivated me to do more stuff, which is part of the reason why we're doing this. Is like, we need to be doing more stuff to connect with more people and our clients and our world and our circles out there, and talking about the industry as a whole versus
absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this without using the words I want to use. There's a lot of inaccurate knowledge out there that gets shared and reshared.
Misinformation, as they say.
Yeah. So there's a lot of conventional wisdom that is patently false that gets bandied about. And so I try, using the tools I have access to try and, shed some light on, hey, maybe you want to rethink what you're thinking because you don't have all the information, right?
Right.
And I think social media broadly has just exacerbated all that. Sure, it's a great mouthpiece for us to get our word out. We're doing it right now, right? But at the same time, bad intel gets replicated, and bad news travels fast, right? That sort of thing.
What do you think was some good takeaways that you took from the military that brought you into the real estate side? We'll just start with that you've been able to kind of say, like, we'll talk about information and intel. So how were you able to take one and then
superimpose? Well, number one, nothing is ever easy, right? Nothing, right? And the stuff that is worth doing more often than not is going to involve hard work and continuous hard work. But that's where your payoffs come from. A lot of that, more germane to this business, is analysis, analytics, taking the raw data that's out there, and it might be, interest rate data. It might be what the news media is forecasting for the remainder of the year based on signals they're getting from the Fed, for example. What does the rest of 2024 look like, right? And then how do you overlay that against what I do? And I'm pivoting over to my other screen, which has, the inventory levels for the areas I work, right? You take, okay, interest rates are going to go down. Well, what is that going to do? That's going to increase demand. I'm like, oh, so increased demand on a market where there's nothing for sale. That's great. That's exactly what, the community needs. So if you're thinking about selling, by the way, now's a good time to do it. Because, at least you might have a chance of getting something you can move into when you sell, right? It's going to become harder later on. So, but it's a matter of, taking all these various inputs and figuring out what do they mean? Where's the so what, right? Take that set of data and, ideally matrix it in a way where you can prioritize, what my most important data points are so you can make intelligent decisions. And that's something I do as a businessman. That's something you should do, as a homeowner, as an individual consumer. I think it's important to take all this stuff and put the so what analysis on it. Otherwise, it's just noise.
Chris, anything advice-wise as we kind of wind down our time here together today? It's a hyper-competitive market. You do business north and south, central Jersey, all over the place. What's your best advice for folks that could be a buyer, could be a seller, or in between? And I know that's a general question, but it's probably one you're getting all the time, or people are coming to you with preconceived notions. I heard this, or my Aunt Sally, who was a realtor in 1973, told me this. What's your key takeaways for folks to set themselves up?
Look out for number one and don't step in number two. No, that's good advice anyway, no matter what. I want to say data doesn't lie, but that's not entirely true. But the data that's out there, that your realtor, that your lender, that, I don't know why anybody would go to a title agency first, but they might, right? But that your title professionals share with you, use that, process it, ask questions about it, because this should be a very deliberate and probably very iterative, unfortunately for most people, process, because it's such a big financial commitment. It's one that you get a ton of long-term value out of. And that, because of that, should be taken seriously. But the data tells you a lot. And ask for the data, inquire about the data, ask, what does that mean? What's the so what behind that, right? And there's more than enough of us willing to share that. God knows we all pay a lot of money to a lot of partners to give us this data. As professionals, we really should use it. And it's information we should be sharing with our clients. So ask for, hey, what's the market, flow rate looking like? What's the absorption rate in the town I either own in now and I'm thinking about selling it, or the ones I want to buy in? What does that mean for me, right? What can I expect with, inspections and appraisals and so on and so forth? What do all those things mean, right? I see a house that's been on the market for more than 30 days. What does that mean? Right? Well, there's a couple things it could mean. So ask those questions.
I love it.
Love it. Hey, what, Chris, this was absolutely awesome getting to know you, your business, what you're doing. I get, thanks again for your service in the military, but also too excited to continue to hear more about good things that you're doing.
Awesome. Paul, thanks for putting this all together. Appreciate it. Great, as always, talking to you. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It was great to see you, and I always appreciate your perspective and knowledge and expertise. It is super valuable to me and to everybody else I talk to.